Hey everybody, it's Rebecca Johnson of Supergirl Radio. We're going to get officially started here in a little bit. Wanted to check my settings and everything before we went live because we took a week off. And so I wanted to make sure all of that was good. Still need to make sure that all of my settings are correct. Looks like I can hear everything. Okay, yes, okay, I can hear myself. Hope everybody in the chat is doing well. This week we are going to be talking about the Legion of Superheroes animated movie. We are also going to be talking about the Flash movie trailer that appeared during the Super Bowl. So there were two trailers. One was kind of a full-length official trailer, and then one was a TV spot. So we are going to briefly talk. Well, briefly, I say that, but we will probably talk at great length about that. So yeah, okay. So everybody in the chat says everything is sounding good. Sometimes with the headphones, and it just sometimes I have to be able to hear myself to know that I am working properly. So I appreciate the feedback in the chat. So if you have any thoughts about the Flash movie trailer, feel free to drop those in the live chat while we're discussing it. I do have links to both of those videos in the video description. I believe I have links to the Legion of Superheroes movie in there, the Flash movie trailer, and so if you haven't watched it yet, feel free to watch it before we get officially get started, and we'll see what you think when we get there, because we're definitely going to talk about it, because there was a lot more Supergirl in that Flash trailer than I thought there would be. I thought maybe we'd get to see a little bit, but she was definitely in there. Let's see. Before Morgan hops on, I'm just going to make sure so I haven't got any message. She must be delayed a little bit, so we'll wait on Morgan before we get started. Mark says Kara's heat vision is going in one of Rebecca's ears and out the other. It's I'm invincible. I'm invulnerable to heat vision. That is how that goes. It's my superpower. I can't do much anything else, but I can evade heat vision, which I guess is pretty pretty valuable if you're indulging in fights with Kryptonians. Andy asks, did StreamYard add new lower thirds? Actually, yes, they did. So if you are using StreamYard and you click on yourself in the kind of I forget what they call it when you're kind of in the control room area. I can't remember. It's like backstage, maybe is what they call it. If you click on the three dots on your picture and say edit name and headline, it's called a headline. So the headline is what you edit. So if you're a StreamYard user, it's kind of a new functionality that we are playing with here on Supergirl Radio. So you can kind of put whatever you want to in there. So we are trying to make it fun and different. So maybe each week we'll have something new in that headline that you'll have to to check out and understand. So yeah, so that is what the StreamYard feature is. So definitely check it out. Okay, so I see some folks in the chat. So I see some new folks. Welcome, Mr. Knight. I don't know if Mr. Knight has joined us before, but I see some of our Supergirl radio regulars. So thanks everybody for joining us. Let's see. Andy, I'll chat with you later about adding a headline and helping you through that. We'll figure out what your issue is. We'll get that hammered out. Hopefully Morgan has a new headline that she has added to her. So I see Morgan down there. Are you ready to go? All right. Yes. Oh, okay. All right. Well, we're going to get to Morgan's headline for sure.
Scales back, baby.
We thought the Mon scale would have gone away with the show, but it's
never. It's always important to know where you stand on the scale.
Yeah. So everybody in the live chat, let us know where you stand on the Mon scale with the Legion of Superheroes animated movie, and we will definitely see where everybody is on the scale. It's very, very important. All right. And if people are joining us and they've never heard of the Mon scale, basically on the CW Supergirl TV series, Mon-El was a character who showed up for seasons 2 and some of season 3, and then he kind of came back for various cameo appearances, and then he came back for the end of the show and told Supergirl he was never going to see her again in this lifetime.
Never again in this life.
And then,
he wanted to make it very clear that he has won the breakup.
So on Supergirl Radio, we had a scale to determine how we felt about Mon-El in various episodes that he was in. Sometimes I would be more Mon positive. I think it was more Mon positive than most everybody else on Supergirl Radio. But by the end of it, I was very Mon negative. He lost me. I was with him for a little while, and then he lost me.
You joined us.
Yeah. Then he just proved everybody right, and that was really disappointing. Okay, well, I guess we will officially get started, and then we'll get into a lot of movie talk in this episode of Supergirl Radio. So leave your thoughts in the live chat, and we will get to them.
Leslalar's downfall is just that eyebrow twitch that she can't help doing. Could you imagine if Hope was like, let's add that to the PowerPoint? Excuse
What
me?
year is it?
How old am I? This is how the podcast breaks up.
This is the last episode of Supergirl Radio. You want a Kryptonian? You've got one.
Is it a movie about saving Argo? The answer to that one is no. It's called Witch for a Summer! ! Where does she want to go? Ask her. Talk to her. Really commune with flat Supergirl.
Did we set the bar too high or too low?
I think we set the bar real medium.
You're doing an intensely adequate podcast.
Good.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Noyce, and you're listening to Supergirl Radio.
McGurk! I love
Not
typing.
mess with my Google Docs, Meeksy.
Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
I love that.
So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor Boardroom or Ballroom, because
She looks like a boss in this coat.
Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
No.
Helen Slater here. So fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.
Welcome to Supergirl Radio, your source for all things related to the CW Supergirl TV series and the character of Kara Zor-El. My name is Rebecca Johnson.
And I'm Morgan Glennon.
And for this episode of the podcast, we are live and wired on the Supergirl Radio Facebook page and the DC TV Podcast YouTube channel to discuss and review the animated movie Legion of Superheroes. Morgan, I'm very excited to hear your take on this because I want to know what you maybe learned about the Legion of Superheroes that maybe you didn't before. So I'm very excited to hear your take on the Legion and Supergirl's involvement with them. But before we get to that movie, we should talk about another upcoming movie. So we need to get to
the news.
Now, The Flash movie released its first official trailer and a TV spot during this year's Super Bowl game. Sorry, I just had to take a minute for myself. You know, the Eagles, they didn't win, and it was tough. It was hard for me.
I was cheering for the Eagles too. They had a lot of Alabama football boys in there, so
we almost had them.
It was so disappointing.
Very close game. Anyway, and it featured a lot of good looks at Sasha Calle's Supergirl.
Kajes.
How is it that I can't get this?
It's like Carmina Burana
all over again.
We have to train ourselves. Sasha Calle.
You have it, Sasha. Sasha Calle's. So there was a lot of good looks at her Supergirl.
Yeah, so we probably can't talk about everything that happened in that trailer because a lot is happening. A lot is going on in the official trailer, and then there was a TV spot that was also released alongside of it. So much is happening in that in those two looks for the Flash movie from the Super Bowl. But we could maybe start with the Supergirl portions, and then Morgan, if you have any other thoughts you want to share about the Flash, I guess he's in it, but it's mostly Batman and Supergirl, it seems like. But we can talk about some of that if you want to. But I guess we've got some overlays here, so I guess this will just help us guide us through the process. I try to put them in maybe like what I thought maybe are chronological Supergirl moments throughout the movie, but who knows? I mean, it's involving Flashpoint scenarios and alternate realities. So I have no idea exactly what the order is for the sequence of events here. But it does look like we got a look at who I think is Kara imprisoned in a facility. This does remind me, and I think a lot of people have caught on to this. This may be the movie trying to take from the Superman of Flashpoint at the beginning of New 52, and we'll Morgan, maybe we should maybe read that before we see the movie so we can have a better understanding of the inspiration behind it. So in that version of Superman, he's a very skinny Cal. He's imprisoned, and so I think they're just using Supergirl here in replacement of Superman in that story. So we got a good look. I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be Kara imprisoned here. So it looks like she is not doing great.
No,
she's having a hard time. It looks like she's been in there for maybe a while. But then we get a really good look of her and doing a little better, I think. What I think is interesting, and I saw some people pointing this out on Twitter, is that she's wearing this sort of, I don't know, what would you call that, Morgan? It's almost like a prison rags, maybe.
Yeah, like it looks like institutionalized almost, maybe, but like she's turned it into like a cool thing that shows off her guns. I don't think that usually they give you like a prison uniform, but they're like, I'm gonna give you like a nice little scoop neck and get your get your sleeve, and it's gonna be sleeveless. It's gonna be so chic. Yeah, it does look like she's in some sort of like facility. I noticed that in like another shot where she's fighting, and we were like, whoa, where is Supergirl in this scenario? Like it looks like she's like maybe in prison, or some sort of facility that they've got her locked up in or something like that. Doesn't look like she's had a fun time.
Yeah, so in the shot of her wearing her sort of prison garb, it looks like there's another language that is on the front of it, and some people I saw on Twitter had translated the language. I'm not exactly sure. I think some people think it's Russian, but I am not a speaker of that language. But it does translate, so I'm told, to most dangerous. So her prison garb identifies Kara as most dangerous. So we'll see if that is the case. It sort of seemed like that in the trailer. So I don't know exactly. So if people in the live chat, if you have the language for that, let me know. I was trying to find that because I tried to do a Google Translate from Russian, and I probably didn't type in the Russian correctly. Mark agrees that it says most dangerous in Russian, so it's probably Russian. Maybe we should. We did have a Russian consultant during season 5. No, we had Russian stuff in season 4 with Red Daughter. Oh, it looks like we maybe have a visitor. I guess we could.
Oh, hi, buddy.
Time.
So Beaker says that he is actually, this is a little known fact, but he's actually fluent in Russian.
So he's the most dangerous.
He is the most dangerous. I had to just a little behind the scenes podcasting. I just messaged Rebecca. I said, "Oh my God, something's going on with Beaker. I'll be right back," because I had heard like what sounded like this like plaintive scream, and I was like, "Oh, my God!" And I ran around the couch, and he's looking out the window, and he just turns around to look at me. He was just screaming at himself in the window. Nothing's wrong with him. He's fine.
Yeah,
He's
good.
fine. He's
That's
thriving,
awesome.
in fact.
Yeah, so I was trying to vamp for a little bit just to cover Morgan there, but yeah, so it does look like Supergirl is in this facility, and she is considered the most dangerous, which is probably true because we also see that she is being shot at by a bunch of like laser cannon things, and she seems to be doing fine up in the sky.
I don't know why she's got like the same outfit as like that little creepy girl from The Ring. I don't like it.
Hopefully, she'll get to change out of that not too long after this scene. Maybe they'll give her some cool stuff. I wish they would sell T-shirts that had like most dangerous on them.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
That would be really cool. I would maybe buy one of those because it's very fitting because Supergirl does seem to in the trailer come to Batman's aid. Batman is about to, it looks like, be shot by some guard at this facility that Supergirl is being contained in, and it looks like I slowed it down because I wasn't exactly sure what she was doing. I know, like, when I saw it in real time, I could definitely see that she was like punching the guy, but when I slowed it down frame by frame, it looks like she's stopping a bullet with her hand. And that makes it way cooler than just punching somebody.
Cool.
That's pretty cool. It looks like Batman is about to punch the guard, but Supergirl gets there first and prevents him from being shot. So that's actually a pretty cool use of that shot. So I like that. And I don't know, I sort of get the feeling that Batman and Barry, or maybe the two Barrys that are in this movie,
double Barry,
the various Barrys that are in this movie. I don't know if they're doing this together, but it seems like they are going to the facility to break Supergirl out. Did you get that impression?
It did seem that way. I wasn't really sure how the Supergirl kind of came into it. But that kind of was what I was picking up from the trailer. It's really hard to tell because it does, cut things like pretty fast, but that was my guess, is that they were going to, I guess, find Supergirl. Maybe,
Yeah,
I don't know where she is or how they found out about her, but it looks like they were maybe saving her or breaking her out.
Yeah, that's what it sort of seems like to me. I thought I had a shot of the Supergirl suit laying out, but I don't for some reason. But there is a shot where it looks like her. I assumed it was the Supergirl suit because it was in all the midst of the shots of Supergirl. It could be the Superman suit. I don't know. But it looks like she maybe had the suit, and then so maybe she had been a known dangerous Kryptonian hero before she was sent into this facility. I don't know. But it does seem like she did have a suit because we do later see her in the suit. So we got a couple of good shots of her in the suit and wearing the suit with flying alongside what I think is the Batwing and the two Barrys in the Batwing. So we got some really pretty good shots of the suit and the S shield and Supergirl using heat vision. So that's pretty cool. Also, we do get a shot, which I think is Kara and Barry going to possibly Wayne Manor. Is what it looks like.
Oh, that's so funny. Okay, good call, because and when I saw this shot, I initially thought it was the double Barrys.
Oh, maybe it is the double Barrys.
But
you're right.
Am I right though? Because like, didn't both of the double Barrys have kind of the same haircut? Her hair seems a little poofy.
I thought it was like Supergirl fresh out of the facility and then like they were going back to the Batcave, but I think you're right because both of the Barrys are seen in the Batcave. So I think you're actually right. I think that's maybe not Sasha Kaje's Supergirl. That's probably the other Barry. So so that is a good call.
Hey, bud. Hi, friend. He has some.
He's-
Oh, okay. Would you like to speak? He has some big ideas about how Supergirl is going to be instrumental in the Flash movie. Yeah, right? That's what you think? You think it's going to be all everything's coming up Supergirl? That's what he thinks.
He always wants the screen time, but he never wants to like vocalize his thoughts. He never wants to share his opinions.
He's a strong silent type is what he is. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for clearing that up for me. I do think that's Wayne Manor, but I think you're right. I think it's the double berries. Something that I'm a little concerned on about, and I have mixed feelings about, is the usage of General Zod, Michael Shannon's General Zod in this movie.
I was surprised about that. Did you know about this? That he was going to be in it?
So a long time ago, I read a leaked list of things that were going to be in the movie, and it did mention General Zod, and there was also something in that leaked. Okay. Beaker heard it was leaked. Beaker wanted spoilers.
Beaker is not a spoiler cat. He's like, I am furious. He was furious that was leaked. How dare you? How dare you leak all of their hard work and dedication? He said, enjoy the movie the way it's supposed to be seen. Right, buddy? No spoilers.
For the audio listener who's listening to this later, Beaker looked directly at the camera when I mentioned that there was a leak.
He might just hang out here for the whole
okay.
for the whole episode.
He can be our third co-host.
He's got some big thoughts and big feelings, and he's gonna hop in on this one. I think
that's
right?
that's totally fine. Oh,
thank
yeah.
you. Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
That noise you just heard was Beaker sharing his thoughts, I guess. Yeah. So
he said, what was that, Beaker? This movie is going to revolutionize film as we know it. Oh my God, James Gunn said that too.
It's the greatest movie of all time.
What? Citizen Kane move over?
Yeah, so I don't know, Morgan, I guess I should explain. I should go back to the leak thing. There was a leak on the internet that mentioned Michael Shannon's Zod, and there was something else in there that caused me to have a little bit of a heart attack, maybe a couple of little heart attacks. So I'm very nervous about this movie because things that were in that list of leaks showed up in this trailer. And so if what I read was in there, it'll be a little devastating.
So is it something that's like going against some of the other earlier movies? We don't want to get into spoilers, but
if it is true, it could theoretically completely erase the Snyderverse.
Interesting.
So I don't know if that's true.
Why bother doing that when you've established a multiverse? I guess I don't really understand. And they have specifically they have Elseworlds. Beaker has decided that this is his episode. This is his moment. And he has gotten more aggressive about getting in my way now. And really just taking over my whole section of the feed. I understand that what I'm saying is not as interesting as what you're saying, Beaker. And I get that. You have strong opinions about the DC EU, and I respect it.
He looks really tired, though. I don't think he's
a little sleepy. He says, "I love Batman." That's what he said, and so does the WB. Don't worry.
So I'm hoping that maybe the thing that I read is maybe reshuffled in the reshoots, just because I think it's a rather cruel thing to do to a man that they shoved out after his daughter committed suicide. That seems a little too cruel even for them. So I hope that's not the case. So
I suspect that they wouldn't have a whole movie establishing a multiverse and then shut down any portion of it and be like, well, that part of the multiverse was not a thing. I wouldn't be surprised if like some of the multiverses get like a little messed up. But I think,
Yeah,
as long as Michael Keaton's fine, that's what I'm worried about. How's he doing?
he seems to be doing okay. For a man of his age, he's still rocking the bat suit.
Reveal? What if the big reveal was that he's back as Batman? Like, it's Michael. It's me, Michael, and I'm back, baby. Nothing can stop me.
Yeah, so his appearance was a big portion of the movie. So it seems like he will be working alongside the Barrys pretty heavily in here. But yeah, so the Michael Shannon portion of it does make me a little nervous, but it does look like that Supergirl is going up against Michael Shannon's Zod. In very much a similar situation in Man of Steel, where in Man of Steel, Superman goes to meet General Zod. Well, Superman and Lois in this sort of desert facility with the military. So I think this is the scene that this is echoing. So instead of Superman and Lois going aboard the ship, it looks like Supergirl is having some sort of throwdown with him. And even to the point where it looks like she punches him in the face. So and there's also maybe some lightning around them. I don't know if the Flash is moving around them while she's doing this. So I don't know if she could get caught up in. I don't know if Supergirl could get caught up in the Speed Force, maybe like in Zack Snyder's Justice League with Clark fighting the Justice League, and the Flash gets caught by Clark, and not knowing he was kind of on the same level with the super speed. But that's kind of what that looks like. So definitely getting some Supergirl action against General Zod. So I think that's where a lot of the heat vision and the yelling seems to be maybe in the same place.
I think so.
There's also a couple of other different shots with Supergirl. There's looks like Supergirl is carrying someone up into the clouds. Not exactly sure who that is. It could be one of the Barrys needing to, I don't know, be refreshed by lightning. I don't know if she's going up into a
Maybe
storm.
she's going to just sort of toss him into the sun. You never know. She's like, it works for me. I'm sorry. How was I to know?
That's just the way she does it.
Don't worry, there's more.
So let's see. I think the only other remaining shots were the Supergirl with the Batwing, which were actually pretty cool. I think that's a neat thing to show that Supergirl can be up there. I guess I should say it the other way around. The Batwing can be up there with her. So we do get some pretty good shots of her in the suit. Not great shots with these YouTube screenshots that I have, but it does. It's pretty good. It looks like she has blue boots, which is kind of surprising to me.
I didn't notice that either, but that is kind of surprising.
Yeah. So I think we had seen Annie Muschietti, I think, had released a nice version of the top half of the suit. So I think we had seen the S shield before, but I had not seen the blue boots. So that seems new. I also wanted to mention that it looks like because this is sort of somehow tied to the Snyderverse, it looks like Supergirl has the same speed of sound capabilities as Henry Cavill's Superman. So that's been somewhat consistent in terms of the Kryptonian powers here. So I'm glad to see that. So at least there is some kind of connection. So I don't know if she's supposed to be Henry Cavill's cousin on another Earth or something. I don't know, but at least that aspect of showing the powers are the same. So I like that.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing like where in the story she like really fits in. I would assume she's on some different she's from a different universe, but I want to know what the deal is. Like, exactly, is she Superman's cousin on that other universe? Why is she in Russian prison? Are they doing like a red daughter thing? That seems like a lot to add into this movie already. We've already got 25 Batmans. And,
you just have to show her punching rocks. That's all you need.
What if that was all they showed? It was just like an establishing shot of her punching rocks, and then it's like Keaton Batman comes and it's like, no, this movie is mostly about me.
Yeah, so I am curious to hear what her story is. She did identify herself as Kara, which I was relieved about because I was like, I don't know what they're gonna do. Like, is she gonna be some new version of Supergirl? What are they gonna use? Or is she gonna be like the Matrix Supergirl? But it seems like she's gonna be OG Kara Zor-El. So I'm really excited about that. I was a little relieved about that. I wouldn't have minded if she was like Linda Danvers or something. But they could have used any version of Supergirl, really. So I'm glad to know that they used the Kara version. So that's good. Anything else about the trailer that you wanted to mention before we move on?
No, I thought with all the controversy, I was like, I don't know how interested, besides the Supergirl, I don't know how interested I am in the Flash movie, like whatever. And then I watched the trailer and I was like, hey, that looks like it could be good. I don't know if it's going to be greatest movie of all time. Good, but what if? What if I keep talking about how this the greatest movie of all time, and then we go see it, and I turn to you and I go, that was the greatest movie of all time. Like, what if I have to eat my own words? So I was surprised. I thought that the trailer actually looked really good, and I was like, "Hey, okay, this looks like it could be fun." I think it could be a good movie, and I liked a lot of the things that they had in the trailer. Some of it, obviously, for viewers of like the Flash TV show, might feel a little bit repetitive, but like it looked like they were going to have fun with the multiverse aspect of it, which I think you kind of have to. I think that's, to be frank, I think that's why everybody's pushing this movie so hard, because they need that multiverse aspect to like go to the next phase of whatever. Right. And they're like, it needs to work. But based on the trailer, it looks like it could be pretty good. Yeah. And also Supergirl. Lots of Supergirl.
Lots of Supergirl, which I was surprised by. I'm very nervous about this one. I'm very extremely nervous about it. But I would agree that the trailer was cut together really great, and it made it seem like it was a really interesting story, and it had some really good visuals. I even though I'm not a huge Flash fan, I liked some of the Flash things that were in it, like the Flash ring, and getting to see gold boots and Barry's new Flash suit. So some of that was really interesting to me from a Flash angle, and of course, my man Ben Affleck is going to be in there as Bruce Wayne and Batman. I don't know what they're going to be doing with him, because I'm a little worried that his Batman cowl that sort of looks like Ben Affleck's Batman cowl on the ground with some blood around. So I hope they don't kill him off in this movie. Would not. I can't tell you how unbelievably disappointed and frustrated I would be if that was the case, because I really like his Batman. So to be determined, I guess. So I'm going in with very low expectations and hoping not to be angry by the end of it.
I suspect like by the end of the movie they'll be like, here is the new reality. I want them to do like at the end of the movie, I want them to have like the new Batman or Superman like wake up in bed, and like at the edges of the like the screen is like the dream thing from like Saved by the Bell. And he's like, man, that other reality seems gnarly.
He does like a breaking the fourth wall thing, like oh my gosh, Zach Morris.
Yes. And then Batman picks up his giant 90s cell phone to call Alfred. Be like, Alfred, I don't know why, but I really want Dunkin' Donuts. Could you make that happen for me? You know, like the spirit of Batfleck lives on.
If people don't know, there was a really great Dunkin' Donuts commercial. I think it was a Super Bowl commercial.
I think so, yeah.
With Ben Affleck working the Dunkin' Donuts drive-through, and Jennifer Lopez shows up. It's actually it's a really good commercial.
As someone who loves Dunkin' Donuts, maybe not as much as Ben Affleck, I respect it, man. I respect the hustle. You gotta start your morning with some Dunkin'. America runs on it.
It's only funny because there's a lot of paparazzi pictures of Ben Affleck with Dunkin' Donuts, just walking around with Dunkin' Donuts.
I often feel like that picture of Ben Affleck where he's like desperately trying to hold on to all of his Dunkin' Donuts orders, and like just looks like he's having a day. And I'm like, me too, Ben. Me too.
So relatable. The only thing I'll mention about other thing I'll mention about this trailer was at the end of it, on the YouTube version. I don't know if they did this on the the spot on TV during the Super Bowl, but they had I don't know, an in page or a card that popped up that said, read where it all began, go to a comic shop, bookstore, or visit dc.com/the Flash. I like that rhymes, dc.com/the Flash. And so the issues that were put into that part of the trailer, I've linked in the video description below if you want to go check those out. I'm also going to put them in the audio podcast show notes if you're interested in what issues that they recommended. It was a lot of Flashpoint, New 52 stuff. I think the other one was a comic tie-in to the movie. So has Flash and Batman on the cover. So if I don't know which Batman that is. That may be Keaton's Batman. But if you're interested in prepping for this movie, the greatest movie of all time, definitely check out those comics and get some inspiration. So I think we definitely should cover some of that Superman Flashpoint before we go see the movie so that we are up to speed, I guess, pun intended, on what they're doing with the Flash movie. And Morgan, should we hop into the chat and just see what people are talking about while we're here before we move on?
I see an interesting one from Mind the Gap. Let me see if I can find it. That said, All-Star Superman, Batman, The Black Glove, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, and The Authority all sold out.
Yeah, it was hard to get to Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. So just the mention of those comics got people buying them. So I think that's really great, especially for Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. I'm glad that people are picking that up. So I'm glad they're going to read one of the greatest Supergirl stories ever told, in my opinion. So there is that. Let's see. What are people saying about the... Brian says he's a Giants fan in the chat.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. I don't know if we can forgive that.
I see there's some Ben Affleck context. Mark says he actually worked that drive-through in filming the ad. I think it was just outside Boston.
And Ben Affleck is from Boston, I believe, or somewhere in the surrounding area.
What was the big movie that him and Matt Damon did that was like their breakout
Good
movie?
Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting. I think that was all set in Boston. They had the thick accent.
How do you like them apples? Is that where that's from?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Yeah.
I think, has what's his name? Why am I blanking on it? Mrs. Doubtfire.
Robin Williams?
Robin Williams.
I was about to just do the Mrs. Doubtfire voice. I was going to be like, hello. And I was like, that's not going to help.
Why was I blanking on it? Let's see if there are any other comments about the Flash movie. Let's see. Yeah, Andy says that there was a DC fandom teaser that opened with some of the characters leaving a cab to Wayne Manor. Yeah, so I think at some point Supergirl hooks up with the Two Berries. So there is that. Lots of Beaker love in the chat. Beaker for third host. I support Beaker from Mark. Brian is cheering on Beaker. I mean, everybody loves Beaker. He's very popular.
He's a great cat. He loves the limelight and it loves him. He had a lot to say in this one, surprisingly enough.
Yes, he wanted to be present.
He was like, listen, that Super Bowl trailer blew my mind. Let me talk all about it.
Mind the Gap suggests that maybe Sasha Calle Supergirl is the Supergirl of Burton's Batman universe. So I wonder if that's where they've landed, is in the Burton verse.
That'd be interesting.
Is Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman still around?
Bring her back.
Because if we're going to bring anybody back, we should bring Michelle Pfeiffer back.
Let's get Michelle Pfeiffer and Danny DeVito in this. Let's do it.
I mean, if you're going to do it, go all the way.
Do you still have those penguins with the rocket launchers?
Fun fact, that was a mixture of real penguins and robot penguins.
Oh, the real penguins. What good boys. Could you imagine? And then you just kind of waddle.
I don't think they were the ones like carrying the penguin's body into the water. I don't.
Oh, probably. I think that would.
I don't think you can train a real penguin to do that. Let's see. Daryl wonders if this Supergirl came out of the open pod in Man of Steel. Possibly. If you've never read the Man of Steel prequel comic, it's all about Kara Zor-El, and it sort of hints, I think, that the open pod was Kara. So could definitely be. Mark says that the cowl on the floor, the Batman cowl, might be Keaton's cowl, so that could be the case. Let's see if there's anything else. Let's see. Mark also says there were comics promoted at the end of the new Shazam trailer, so that's good. I'm glad that they've always kind of tried to tie some of these movies to the books, but this time around, I think they're doing it more like aggressively, like more visibly. So I think that that's really great.
It's smart. I feel like whenever these movies come out, there's a bunch of articles that come out. They're like, oh, if you want to understand or you want some background on this movie, you can read XYZ. But I feel like it doesn't come directly from DC or Marvel. It's like, different online publications kind of putting together a reading list for you. Like, why aren't they out there doing that? Like promoting their comics, like, hey, if you want to catch up on this, like this is the run that you should read. And here they all are patched together. As always, the worst thing about comics for me is always trying to figure out where to start reading and what to read. And then I get overwhelmed and I'm like, you know what? Never mind.
Yeah. Yeah, it's too much. Yeah, I think when people used to go to bookstores, I don't know if they still do anymore.
Once upon a time when there were bookstores.
I do remember when like Man of Steel and Batman v Superman came out, in some of the bookstores they would have displays of some of the books that were associated with the movie. So for BVS, you would see like the Death of Superman and the Dark Knight Returns. I always have to think about that before the Frank. What's the Frank Miller title and what's the Christopher Nolan title? Christopher Nolan movie, The Dark Knight Rises. Frank Miller, Dark Knight Returns. Even though The Dark Knight Rises actually used some stuff from The Dark Knight Returns, but they at bookstores they would do displays of that. But it's good to see that DC is actually trying to promote them. Okay, well, last minute thoughts about the Flash movie. Are we ready to move on and talk about the Legion of Superheroes?
I think we are.
Okay, all right. So we are going to be talking about. Oh, actually, we can't move on. We have some listener feedback. I just remembered this because it's in a different place than we normally we put listener feedback at the end, but because this is relevant to the Flash movie, I think we should read it now. So let's get to this email. So we have an email from a longtime listener, Andy Babak of the Flash podcast, who wrote in to share some thoughts about the Flash movie trailer. He writes, quote, "Greetings, Rebecca and Morgan. I hope my favorite Kryptonian podcasters are doing well." Well, I should clarify, we are not Kryptonian.
No.
I wish.
We can't pretend to that honor.
And he goes on to say, I wanted to send a few thoughts in on the Flash movie trailer, which I can't wait to hear your thoughts on, which I guess you just did. Andy says, I've heard a bit from Rebecca, but really curious about what you think about it, Morgan. Initially, I was completely taken in by all the amazing visuals, nods, and cues from what looks to be the most expensive DC movie ever, which I actually think it is. For my Supergirl thoughts, your girl, Sasha Calle, looks phenomenal as Kara. I know chances are likely low, but I am still 100% holding out hope that she will get to star in Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. From everything I've been told about her role and performance in this film, she is and should get to continue being our latest Girl of Steel. Yeah, I don't know about what they're going to be doing with that, because they do have a Supergirl in the Flash movie, and then there's going to be a Supergirl in Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow.
Will they be the same Supergirl?
It's just so confusing. Why are they keeping some people from the DCEU and not? I just wish they would still just start over.
Yeah, honestly, it does feel like they should it sounds horrible because a lot of the casting, I think we're both on the same page, that a lot of the casting was really great, but if you can't I don't think you can just keep half and lose half. You got to either keep all or lose all. So it is confusing, but I'm excited for her and her take on the role. And I suspect that afterwards I'll be like, oh man, I hope we keep her. But
yeah. I mean, I guess I would be good either way. I just think as an audience member, it's a little confusing about what they're doing. So who knows what will happen? We'll just have to keep our eyes on that. Andy goes on to say, but the more I've thought about this project, especially amid the controversy about a certain leading actor, I'm torn about this being what we get for the Flash's first feature film. It's very similar to how you guys felt about Supergirl season 6. I want this to be Barry's story, but instead it feels like a semi-Batman 3. And Andy writes, whispers, we will just pretend Gary accidentally erased Batman Forever from the timeline, Morgan. I assume that's a Legends of Tomorrow reference.
It is indeed, and that's a very Gary thing to do.
Andy says, it feels like a semi-Batman 3 for Michael Keaton with a dash of Flashpoint. Flashpoint is not something you use lightly, especially for a first movie, like Flash's first major motion picture film. What does a brother have to do to just get a Flash movie where Barry fights all the rogues or something? Flashpoint is a story you do to end a trilogy or even a second trilogy. WB has really made it a chore to be excited for The Flash, given everything that has happened and what is about to happen afterward. Despite everything, I'm excited to see this, but extremely torn at the same time, especially as a Flash fan, unquote. I certainly understand that. That must be frustrating for Flash fans to be like, yeah, we finally get a Flash movie on the big screen. And it's like, this is the one.
Yeah, it's going to be all about the Flash and about no other characters. And then it's like, surprise! Michael Keaton's Batman busts through like the Kool-Aid man. He's like, it's Batman now, baby. Everything always is. Yeah, I actually felt that even while watching the trailer, where I was like, what a weird place to start with like a Flash. Like people who aren't familiar with the Flash, who like didn't read the comics or didn't watch the TV show, like don't know anything about the Flash, or starting from Flashpoint. Like that's not a great, I mean, I don't know what kind of entry point that is for the character. It doesn't feel like a great entry point for like his first solo outing. It's going to be like, oh yeah, and it's all going to be about timey-wimey stuff.
Yeah, well, I guess to Andy's point, saying that it's something that you would use for later on. I guess they are kind of technically using it for later on, because Barry's Ezra Miller's Barry has been in several movies thus far. BBS, Zack Snyder's Justice League, Suicide Squad. I guess that's it. And so this would be now his fourth appearance in a major motion picture. So this is not exactly his first movie. It's his first like solo movie. And also, I guess the New 52 was the launching pad. Flashpoint was the launching pad for the New 52. So in theory, it relaunched a reboot of the DC universe. So it makes sense. And I think this is how they're rationalizing it, is that they are using this Flashpoint-esque story in that same way that birthed the New 52. It also includes Barry's origin story with his mother, Nora, and all of that. So I guess it makes sense for his first movie to be that. But I can definitely understand the problem for Flash fans wanting to see something a little different, because they kind of did a Flashpoint sort of thing on the Flash TV show, and the New 52 Flash, has been out for a while, so it's not really anything different. It's almost as if, like, I was trying to think of something Supergirl related that would be sort of similar. I guess in comparison, it would be like if all we got were reimagined versions of the Totem storyline from season 6. Would we be hyped to see another version of that?
No, we would not. I wasn't hyped for the first version of that. Yeah, I think you make a good point that he's definitely showed up in other things, but it does. I agree with Andy's point. It feels like, this would be a second or third movie topic, not his first like solo outing is all Flashpoint, because it is, it's a Flash movie, but also here's Batman and here's another Batman, here's 25 other Batmans, and here's Supergirl, and here's this and here's that, and I'm sure there's General Zod's here. And it's like none of that really has a lot to do with the Flash, but okay.
Well, I guess maybe to be fair, there's 2 Flashes as well.
That's true. Double Flash.
Double Flash. So so you're getting a lot of Flash. And then like little Barry, isn't it?
Oh yeah, little guys in there too. So
yeah.
3, really.
So technically 3 Barrys. So yeah, I don't know. I guess it'll be interesting to hear what everybody thinks after the movie comes out. Will it feel like a Barry, like a Flash movie, or will it still just feel like a Batman heavy movie? I'll be curious to hear the reaction after it's all said and done. We do have a question. I promise we're going to get to the Legion of Superheroes movie. Maybe we should have just done an episode just about the Flash trailer. Now I'm thinking,
apparently.
I feel like maybe we I started this live stream like we're going to briefly talk about the Flash movie trailer.
It's going to be so fast.
No, it extended a long time. Everybody has lots of thoughts, including us. Seem Gutierrez 74 in the chat says, because of Ezra's real world issues, do you think the Flash movie was re-edited to reduce his role in the movie? I don't think unless I think there was a reworking of the movie at some point, but I don't know if it was because of Ezra Miller.
I don't know.
I don't know.
That is actually I don't know that we'll know for a long time, unless they go out and they talk about it. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised exactly, given all the Ezra Miller drama, if they were edited back a little bit more. But they can't. It's in a big, expensive movie. They can't exactly just replace Ezra Miller, so you gotta do what you gotta do.
Well, I imagine if they were so dead set on getting rid of the Snyderverse, they probably have this version of the Flash not being around anymore. Like, I'd be curious to see how it ends. Like, are they going to get rid of him too because he's part of that? So I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is the end for Ezra Miller's Flash. Andy says they didn't really reduce any of Ezra's screen time because they play multiple characters, so it is essentially impossible.
Yeah.
Which is a good point. Yeah, if Ezra Miller's in this scene and Ezra Miller's in that scene, it's like Barry and Barry's talking to Barry. It's going to be pretty hard to cut back on his screen time.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in this one. I just hope my hope for the Flash movie is if they do erase all of the films that I have loved, I hope they do it in a respectful way. Like Crisis on Infinite Earths, like got rid of everything in the DC universe, but it was pretty respectful of everything else. It was like, hey, there's a Birds of Prey cameo. Huntress totally gets obliterated by the Crisis stuff, but like the Huntress and Oracle are in there, and like.
Remember that show? I was like excited. I was like, sorry, Huntress, but it's a great scene. Yeah.
So like, I hope it feels like that. I hope it's a feeling of like everything is valid, every fan is welcome. I just hope it's not a very cynical like F you to fans of a certain segment of movies as part of the franchise, because that would be really disgusting to me if that. And I only have negative feelings about that because I know the movements that they have made in the past towards these films, and so I have skepticism about how it will be portrayed. So I hope I go in and I'm like, wow, that felt like a love letter to some of the films that I have enjoyed in the past, but I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be like. So I'm just going to go low expectations, and we'll see if they go to greatest movie of all time. Maybe they will.
Listen, we might be on here in a couple of months and we might say, listen, that was the greatest movie we've ever seen. It's changed how we think about life and how we think about cinema.
I'm really relating to other people differently. It's
people have noticed a change in my attitude. My skin is cleared up. I have a glow now that I've seen The Flash that I didn't have before. I think this movie's promising a lot of things. We'll see if it delivers.
So hopefully that will be the case. Fingers crossed. All right, so let's get talking about the movie that we gathered to discuss, which is the Legion of Superheroes animated movie. So just in case anybody hasn't seen it, here is the I pulled this description from YouTube Movies and TV because I thought it was a pretty good description. It says, quote, "Welcome to the 31st century in the Legion Academy, where a new generation hones their powers with hopes of joining the Legion of Superheroes. Devastated by tragedy, Supergirl struggles to adjust to her new life on Earth. Taking her cousin Superman's advice, Supergirl leaves their space-time to attend the Academy. There, she quickly makes new friends as well as a new enemy with old ties. Brainiac 5. But a nefarious plot lurks in the shadows. The mysterious group known as the Dark Circle seeks a powerful weapon held in the Academy's vault. Find out if the budding heroes could rise to the challenge in this all-new DC Universe movie, unquote. So I think that sums it up fairly well. I don't know if it's... who is our description writer? Why am I like blanking on everything? Who's our description writer? Veronica. That's right. Yes. Yes. Didn't we give season 1's description writer another name?
She was Betty.
She was Betty. Okay.
Betty.
Yeah. So this is maybe not Veronica quality, but I think it did a pretty good job.
Yeah, it's a pretty good summary. It doesn't have that flavor that we expect from Veronica, but I mean, what we can't ask for everything.
Yeah, I mean, nobody can reach Veronica levels. It's just unattainable. Well, I guess one of the things I want to start with, Morgan, is that I know we've talked about the Legion of Superheroes in the past, but when watching this movie, was there something that you learned about the Legion that you didn't know, or were you surprised about some of the characters? Like now we're getting to see some that we've kind of talked about some of the comic history with the Legion, but seeing them in animation makes a difference, I think. So what were your thoughts about the Legion of Superheroes?
Yeah, so I had forgotten who a lot of them were. And then I saw them again and I was like, cool. Some of the sort of the younger Legion characters who Supergirl befriends, loved those guys. What was it? Bouncing Boy? Boy. He was the best. My favorite character in this, besides Supergirl, was Arms Fall Off Boy. Yeah, and I was really like rooting for him to have a triumphant moment. And I loved that he was so integral at the end. I was like, that's right, boy. Your arms fall off, but it's what you do with them afterwards that counts. I like there's like a moment where like the villains were like, I thought you said they're all useless, as like a disembodied arm like floats towards them, and it's like, this is the best. This is quality. This is a high quality entertainment that I'm watching right now. Yeah, I loved all of the sort of like the sad sack legionnaires, like sort of they're just trying their best, but their powers aren't all that useful. I love that the invisible lad or invisible boy.
Yeah, is he Invisible Kid? I know there's a Karate
maybe he's
Kid.
a kid. He's an invisible person.
Yeah, I think it's Invisible Kid.
In the beginning, he doesn't know how to make his like outfit go invisible, but by the end, he learns that, and I was like, you go invisible, boy, kid.
He had arm issues, like Arm Fall Off Boy, because like only his arms would go invisible.
Yes, yeah, he had
was it his head and his arms?
It was anything that wasn't like covered by an outfit would go invisible, but like the actual clothes are still. I thought that the reveal at the end, I'm gonna be honest, was that like he didn't have anything on at all. He was like, I figured a workaround, but I cannot come visible right now. He's like, I'm gonna need to stay invisible for a little bit. But instead he popped back up. He's like, I figured out how to make my costume invisible too, and I was like, good for you.
Yeah, he figured it out. They had an arc. They grew during the Academy and their adventures there. So lots of good Legionnaires. The Legion of Superheroes animated movie did a really good job of incorporating a lot of the Legionnaires. I don't know if they got everybody, but they tried to get as many of them as they could. Invisible Kid, Bouncing Boy, Brainiac 5, Supergirl, of course, Arms Fall Off Boy, Mon-El, we'll talk about him, Timberwolf, Triplicate Girl, and they even did a little Duplicate Girl situation, or Duo Damsel. So there's that. So a lot of, I think Phantom Girl, Shadow Lass, a lot of them were in there. They made nods to Cosmic Boy and Saturn Girl and Lightning Lad and I think Element Lad. And I was really interested. They had a little Easter egg there of, I think that's Laurel Gand. I don't know much about her, but the thing I do know about her is that she is sort of the Supergirl replacement in Post-Crisis. Her code name was Andromeda. So if you see a shot with like, I think that's supposed to be, I think that's supposed to be Laurel Gand. Somebody in the chat, let me know if I'm wrong, but maybe it's not. I thought the blonde-haired character with the red and white face. Somebody let me know if I'm incorrect on that, but that's who I thought that was. So they definitely try to do a lot of Legionnaire Easter eggs in there. So I thought that was really pretty cool that they tried to honor all of those things. Mind the Gap says Pharaoh Lad was in there. Is that who that is? Censor Girl. Oh, that's who that is. Yes. Censor Girl. So that's incorrect then. So that's not Laurel Gann. Andromeda had more of like an orange suit. But yeah, I think you're right. I think there is some sort of Rachel says Andromeda is the one with the black and gold outfit. I need to do some investigation into Censor Girl because I felt like there was a connection to Supergirl from that. Because I feel like there was a Censor Girl connection, but I'll investigate that further. So thank you for that, chat. I wanted to make sure somebody checked me on that. But yeah, so I was curious about your connection to the Legion of Superheroes. I had read there's a comic series written by Mark Waid that I recommend reading if you're interested in Supergirl and the Legion of Superheroes. It's actually called Supergirl and the Legion of Superheroes. So it's a pretty good read if you're interested in that. It gave me a pretty good introduction to the Legion of Superheroes. So that's a good place to start if you want to check that out. Okay. Now I'm getting more Censor Girl comments. Mind the Gap says Censor Girl was supposed to be Supergirl who survived Crisis, but they never went with that idea. That is what I'm thinking of. Yes. Okay. All right. Yes. Elektra also expands on that, saying, I think there was a storyline where Brainy thought she was Kara because she never took the mask off. Okay. I'm not going crazy. I knew there was some sort of I think that's right, Elektra. I think that is correct. So I knew that there was some sort of Supergirl connection, but I couldn't remember what it was. Okay, all right. So we talked a little bit about the Legion. We got to meet some of those characters. So Morgan, what did you think about the Supergirl aspects of this? Because I actually think this should have been called Supergirl and the Legion of Superheroes, but maybe they don't think that Supergirl can lead a film in that way in a title, but it sort of felt like Supergirl's story. So what did you think about the story in this one?
It was definitely a Supergirl story because it opens with Supergirl and the whole thing is about her character development. I feel like it's kind of a bait and switch to call this the Legion of Superheroes, like to call the movie a Legion of Superheroes movie when it's really a Supergirl movie and also the Legion is in it. Now, I'm not saying that the Legion didn't have some great character development. All the characters really unlocked their full potential. Arms were flying. People were duplicating and triplicating. But it was primarily Supergirl's story. So yeah, I think it's ridiculous that they didn't title the movie Supergirl, as if they were afraid that like people wouldn't watch it if they knew it was a Supergirl movie. So they had to like bait and switch them into watching it. Like, just, it's her movie. Let her have the title.
Yeah, I think it's actually smart to use Supergirl as the lead character in this, because they need a character. If you're going to introduce the Legion of Superheroes, you need to establish that's the process, I guess, that people go into to become a Legionnaire. So they needed a new inductee. So I think Supergirl is a good choice for that, because she is in the comics. She is a Legion of Superheroes. She is a Legionnaire. And she, I think, had to try twice to get into the Legion in the Silver Age, but she is a Legionnaire in the comics. So I'm glad that she actually got that respect in this movie. So I think story-wise, you need someone going in there for the first time and going through that process, going through the academy and hearing the talk about President Saturn Girl, because they have elections that all the Legionnaires vote on who becomes the president. So I like that they utilize the story to show, like, how does somebody become a Legionnaire? They even mentioned the substitute, the Legion of Substitute Heroes.
They did mention that.
So I was glad that they utilize Supergirl in that way, because that makes sense. But I think it was a Supergirl movie. I mean, we got to see her origin, her perspective with the destruction of Krypton, and a lot of connections to Allura in this one. So Morgan, what did you think about that? There's a lot of Allura, but surprisingly to me, no Zor-El. What was that about?
I was kind of curious about that as well. There was barely even mention of him. I think she mentioned Jor-El a lot, actually.
Yeah.
But
She called him, Laura called him, like, Jory or something. She had, like, a nickname
yeah,
for him, which I was like,
not
"That's
gonna
weird."
mention your husband, though? I don't know.
What was going on with
Maybe
that?
trouble in paradise, perhaps? Yeah, I thought it was really weird that there was, like, no mention of Kara's dad in this one, like, even when there might have been, like, a brief, like, "Your father and I, blah, blah, blah," but, yeah, there was a ton of, like, Jor-El mentions, not really any Zor-El mentions, and then she was in the pod getting sent off as she do. I was surprised that it opened with, like, a Krypton origin thing. I didn't expect that, honestly, because everything I had seen was so, like, Legion heavy. But I thought that the stuff with Allura was nice. It really set up that relationship really well in, like, a short amount of real estate, and then they got right to Krypton, destruction, like, right away. They were like, let's not pause here. We all know what's gonna happen." We do. But I did think it was fun to see her and her mom running and both of them kind of cheating. I thought that was fun and kind of established both of their characters is kind of fun, but they want to win. And I think that sort of competitive Kara really comes out in this movie in quite a few places. So I think that it was cool that they established that early about her character.
That's a really good point because she's competitive with Brainiac 5. She and Brainy try to one up each other a good bit. And she has some problems with Batman a little bit. I don't know if that would be like a competitive thing, but she does have that sort of mentality. So I think that's a really good point to mention. The only thing I can think of is that the reason that Zor-El is maybe not mentioned is because they wanted to focus more on the mother-daughter relationship, which I think is fair. I do kind of wish that they had mentioned Zor-El in some passing statement, like when your father was alive, or something like that. Just to establish that maybe she had a father. But I understand why they would have focused on the mother-daughter aspect of it. So I did enjoy getting to see some of Krypton and getting to know Allura a little bit. Carr describes Allura as, quote, General Allura Zor-El, High Defender of Krypton, unquote. So I thought that was a
fancy title.
Pretty good title. She's a general in this one. And she's also very scientific. She, in secret, created all the evacuation pods. So that's a pretty scientific mumbo jumbo to get through. So good for her.
Yeah.
Of course, not only one of them worked, but
and it was only big enough for her daughter. So, but you know what? She got that
one. She got some proof of concept. I will say I thought it was a nice nod to her character because the code to activate the evacuation sequence is NZ, which is Allura's sort of last name in the comics. It's also mentioned in Superman the Animated Series. NZ is Kara's last name. She's not Kara Zor-El in Superman the Animated Series. She's Kara NZ because in Superman the Animated Series, Kara, that version of Supergirl is not Superman's cousin. So she is actually Kara NZ. So the evacuation code I thought was very fitting. So that was a cool little Easter egg in there. So I liked the Krypton stuff with Allura, and I thought it did a good job of establishing Kara as a character. What did you think about the reason that Kara goes to the 31st century, about her kind of not being able to control her powers, and Batman's not real thrilled with her being around? So did you think that was a justification for sending her to the future?
I thought it was a good justification. I kind of felt like it was like typical of both Batman and Superman, because like Batman is like obviously always kind of distrusts the supers, and he's like, I've got a plan, and the plan is like kind of bad. It's like, Batman, could you calm down for 1 second? Like, what if you just like went to therapy and like and talked to somebody like instead of working out these like elaborate side plans in case your friends go evil? Just be normal for a second. And Superman, meanwhile, he's like, Superman's like, no, I've got this figured out. And my way of fixing this problem is the way I fix a lot of problems. Abandonment. I was like, so typical.
It's
that
so
Superman
his thing.
would just abandon her in some other place with some other people. Classic Superman moves. Like, you're annoying me a little bit. I'm gonna drop you off in a different century. Good luck. We've seen this before. We've seen this out of Superman. He always does this to Supergirl. He always does this to Kara. It is so unfair.
It's one of his most basic traits is that he ditches Supergirl when she
just
needs
constantly
him the most.
wants to ditch her. She's like, I don't know. I'm just having such a hard time with like the entire destruction of my like universe and like my family. And for me, it's only been months, and I'm just trying to adjust. And he's like, I'm hearing a lot of whining from you right now. What if we just tried to buck up, kiddo? Superman is like the worst person to come to for comfort. He's just like, have you tried not being sad? You're really bumming me out, so I'm going to send you directly to the future.
with no real way to return.
No,
he doesn't give her like a time bubble of her own. So
he's like, call me sometime, kid. Bye. And she's like, wait, I'm sorry. I don't think we covered how to get. Oh, he's gone. He's just gone now. What if at some point in the movie we saw him like Skype her or like
the I am chat?
Yeah, the I am chat. How are you doing? Hope you're well. And she's like, what if she was like, I want to come home? He's like, sorry, connection is bad.
Sorry, I can't hear you. It's breaking up.
Oh, it's like the time travel really makes. Oh, you're breaking up. Call you later.
Yeah, it's definitely his modus operandi, I guess is how you say that. Yeah, and New Rachel does point out, we joke about it, but there is a post-credit sequence to this thing. I don't know if you saw that, but
there is?
Yeah. I should have mentioned it to you. It was a brief scene where Supergirl introduces Superman to Brainiac 5 through a time bubble. So I guess Brainy probably had one there in the future. And then there's some sort of like tease about, Batman and the Flash and Superman were investigating like what was happening back, I guess, in Metropolis. And there's a big hole in the ground. So I guess that's teasing a future movie is still set in this universe. But there's
what would have been great in the end teaser, which I now have to watch after we get off this, but I thought it was over. And I should have known better. That's on me. But it would have been great.
It's on me. I should have mentioned it. I forgot.
It would have been great if at the end he was like, Supergirl, something really serious is happening back in Metropolis. We really need you. And suddenly she was like, I can't hear you. Oh, our connection's bad. And then she just goes to Brainy. She's just like, sorry. I'll call you later.
I would love it if both of them did that. Like they both avoided talking to each other.
Sorry, it's just so awkward with him.
Oh, that would be so good. I really hope that happens in a future movie. But yeah, so I think it makes sense as to why Supergirl is sent into the future. She's having a hard time with her new power. She's only been there a couple of months. And she's not doing so great. She's like destroying buildings. A guy whose apartment building got destroyed was really upset about it, and she didn't understand why. So, so she was.
I like when she was just like, "Just have your robot make it for you again." And I was like, "Oh my god, she's such a nepo baby." She's like, "I just don't know. Have you thought about not being poor?" This version of Supergirl was actually a delight. I really enjoyed her.
She was having a little hard time adjusting to things that were not computer based, like mall maps and things like that.
I love when she was just screaming at the mall map to show her what she wanted to. I feel like that feels like something I would do when I'm trying to like work the mall map, like the computerized mall map. Yeah. And it's just like taking you to different places, and I'm like, "Where's the you are here? I don't understand."
Yeah, so this Kara was having a difficult time to adjust, but I think she ends up doing pretty well with the Legion of Superheroes. She really finds her people there. And I guess one of the folks that she meets there is Brainiac 5. So how did you feel about this version of Brainiac 5? He mentions many times that he's a 12th level intellect. Do you feel like he lived up to that?
So I feel like he was probably more of a 12th level intellect than the Brainy we had on Supergirl.
Unfortunately, yes.
But he was also still betrayed by a plot. And so I feel
Poor
like
Brainy.
I feel like he can't catch a break. Like in every story, it's like, I'm really smart. And somebody's like, I have a kind of an obvious plot over here. And he's like, I don't see it. It was like, I'm super smart, but I'm so trusting. I just like really believe in the good in people. That's something that you should just know about me, Brainiac 5. He does seem to get bamboozled a lot by these sort of like hidden plots. I like when at some point, like when they're going into the thing to see the weapon that's super dangerous, and Mon-El suddenly pops out of a bush out of nowhere, and he's like, "Hey, you guys, can I come in?" And Brainiac 5 is like, "Definitely, pal." Come on, my dude. Come on. He was, to be fair, he was the only one that could solve that Tetris, though. So
yeah,
he
he
put
really
the,
came in
the
clutch.
long one into the short one, and then the square one into the other one. And I was like, now I want to play Tetris. I mean, I didn't understand that this was all SpawnCon for like a new Tetris game or something. But
I used to play Tetris all the time. This is gonna date me. Don't do the math. On my Game Boy, I used to play Tetris all the time. I loved it on that Game Boy.
Tetris is like just a quality, just a great game. It's so simple, and yet I'm so bad at it is the thing. And so I feel like it would take a 12th level intellect to be like that good at Tetris, like 3D Tetris. Get out
and
of here.
you have to get faster at some point because it speeds up the more you do.
Yeah, that's what they missed. All of the little Tetris pieces should have started speeding up. Honestly, what it should have been doing is like getting higher and higher. And
Yes.
like, it's gonna like crush us, Brainy. And he's like, I'm sorry, I'm doing it as fast as I can.
We need to get to the next level.
We're never gonna make it. But that's what they used his intelligence on that puzzle. He's like one of those people who has like book smarts but not street smarts. I think that's kind of my read on this version of Brainy. He's like really smart at like creating stuff, but he's like really bad at picking up when people are being obviously evil right in his face.
Yeah, well, I guess that is Brainiac 5's thing, is that he has the logic and the intellect, but the emotions and connecting with people, I think, is difficult for him. So I think that's kind of on point for him. I did like that he was portrayed very highly intelligent in this one. He knew that Supergirl's math was wrong. He was able to break the unbreakable weapon door, weapon safe vault door. He was also able to create all these gadgets, the force shield and his belt, and all of the weaponry he used. He even I thought it was a nice touch that when he and Supergirl first have their big fight, he doesn't seem afraid of her at all. Like, he's pretty confident that he can take this Kryptonian down. So I really enjoyed the way that he was portrayed in this one, because he actually did come across, I to me anyway, is highly intellectual, to be able to go up against someone who thought he was smarter than Brainiac 5. And I guess we could talk about that eventually when we get there. But I'm curious about your thoughts, Morgan, on the romance between Brainiac 5 and Supergirl. What did you think about that?
A little dramatic, a little bit. I like the misdirection, because when Superman drops her off in the future and he's like, peace, kid, she meets Mon-El and she's like, oh, hello there. She's like twirling her hair. She's like, how you doing, sailor? And and Clark is like, oh, cool, you got a crush and you just don't want to come back with me? That sounds great. And he's like, does that thing where he like breaks the speed of sound.
He used that
Right
as
here.
his exit. That was his
He slowly
exit strategy.
up away from them. But so you think like, oh, okay, she's gonna have a romance with Mon-El. Like this is super obvious. She's twirling her hair, and then out of nowhere, here comes Brainy, and they've got chemistry right away because they're fighting, and it's like a love-hate thing. And he's like, "I'm smart," and she's like, "I'm smarter," and they're like, punch, punch. And I like when they have to like. They're kind of working on whatever thing for the Legion, and it like goes crazy because both of them are like trying so hard to prove that they're smarter than the other one that they like make the thing like sentient like Skynet, and it decides to start killing them. And they were like, they have to work together to like kill it, and they were like, ooh, did I like this? I thought I enjoyed the romance in this one between her and Brainy. I thought it was fun. I thought that they had like a lot of kind of like flirty banter, and I think that they had a lot of things where they got along with each other. You know, they're both kind of stubborn, and they're both smart, and they're both headstrong, and they both kind of don't listen, which I think worked kind of well in this one. I do think like when they got really explicitly romantic at the end, it got like a little awkward. I was like, what's going on here? I feel like they like built up this romance and this relationship that I really liked, and then was like, how do we land this thing? I think it's gonna get real cheesy real fast. Like just a descent into full cheesedom. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit cheesy there right at the end, but I really did like the scene. So spoiler alert, and we'll talk about Mon-El and the Mon scale in a bit. But Mon-El has a big twist in this. I guess no, let's save Mon-El and the Mon scale for after this, because we could maybe go down a long rabbit hole. So there's a scene that reveals that Mon-El is a bad guy. He is an agent of the Dark Circle. It's a big twist in the movie. It turns out, oh no, Mon-El is not really here to be a Legionnaire. He is working for the big bad, who we will also talk about, because I have lots of thoughts about him. Also, lots of questions. Especially about the six-pack abs on the big bad, that I thought was an interesting choice. But we'll discuss that in a bit. But so Mon-El reveals himself to be a bad guy, and he stabs Supergirl with a Kryptonian knife. And there's a scene where Brainy is trying his best to heal her wound. And I actually really liked that scene. That scene was just enough romance for me without being completely cheesy. And I thought the way that was played was surprisingly well done in the animation. I was really surprised by how emotive these animated characters were. And part of that, I guess, was also partially the voice acting that really sold it. But the animation, sometimes when I watch these DC animated movies, they're kind of stiff when they walk and they talk and they use their hands and their bodies. But this one, I thought they emoted really well in the face, and a lot of it was non-verbal cues, especially in that scene. So I thought that was just that. For me, that was played kind of pitch perfect. The scene at the very end when they're kissing was a little cheesy, but in that moment, I thought it was a great moment for them, because I think it really played up the romance enough to where I was really sold on their connection. So this is actually something that I always wanted from the Supergirl TV series that I never got. So I was very happy about this, because in the comics, Supergirl and Brainiac 5 Supergirl has many boyfriends in the comics. And when she's in college, she's, dating around people, and she kind of gets mixed up with this Buzz Demon guy in the Peter David run. And then she's had romances with Comet the Super Horse in various weird ways. And Dick Malvern is
totally normal. Our good friend Dick Malvern. I forgot about him. That guy was the worst.
He is Linda's boyfriend in the Silver Age. Jarrow, the mermaid boy, the merboy.
I don't think I read any of those. It's
He
incredible.
appears every now and then in the Silver Age. So there are various boyfriends for Supergirl in the comics, but Brainiac 5 is probably one of the most well-known and the one that kind of sticks around the most. So I was really glad to see that relationship was actually portrayed in something that was outside of the comics. So it was actually fun for me to get to see that dynamic come to life, even if we never got it on the CW Supergirl TV show. So that was good to see. So even if it was cheesy, I still enjoyed it because it was good to see that actually come to life.
Yeah, I thought they had a really fun dynamic in this one. I was excited that when it kind of swerved and he was the love interest, I was like, "Oh, good. Okay, good." Because I think that they have fun chemistry, and I think that Brainy kind of brings something out, like interesting out in Kara as a character, and vice versa. And I thought that they did a really good job of developing both of those characters within the relationship and then also separately. So it was like it didn't stop being a Kara, a Supergirl sort of centric movie just when she got a love interest. She still had like a lot of cool character development. She just had it kind of alongside Brainy. So I thought they did a really good job in this one. I liked the romance. I thought that they did a good job, and it wasn't like, overpowering or like light switchy, which it kind of can sometimes be in some of the animated stuff I've seen where it's like the two characters look at each other and they're like, that's it. This is love. And you're like, based on what? I mean, at least they've had a conversation and a fight by the time they're like, I think this is working for me.
Yeah,
You're very good at combat.
my favorite thing about that first fight between Supergirl and Brainy, Bouncing Boy goes out there and he's like, fight.
Yes,
fight.
yes.
He's like egging them on. That seemed like a very Bouncing Boy thing to do. People in the chat are liking the Kara Brainy stuff. New Rachel said, I love that Kara and Brainy got an enemies to lover storyline. Let's see. I thought there were some other people down in here. Electra WWF says, I'm always going to be bitter we never got Kara Brainy on the show. I think if you liked that relationship and that dynamic in the comics, this would be right up your alley. So I was glad to see that they took the time to do that, especially in a Legion of Superheroes story. That would be a missed opportunity, I think, for that to happen, because the first time that I want to say that the first time that Kara or Linda Supergirl in the Silver Age meets Brainiac 5, she has kind of a similar reaction. She sort of thinks that he's Brainiac, and it's in relation to the Legion of Superheroes. So I think it's very fitting that their introduction to each other was through the Legion. So that was good. So okay, so since we've been kind of tiptoeing around the Mon-El factor in this movie, Morgan, where are you on the Mon scale with this portrayal of Mon-El?
I gotta say, I'm Mon negative. I am Mon negative. He shows up and he's like, "Hey, it's me, Mon-El. Look at my cape." And I was like, "Okay, cool. Mon-El's here. What's his deal going to be?" Don't love that he doesn't have a beard. And I was right to immediately mistrust him without the beard. Well, it's funny. As I was watching the movie, I was like, well, one of them is going to end up being evil. And at first, I was really suspicious of the girl who was like, let's be best friends. And I was like, no.
Oh, Dawnstar.
Dawnstar. I was immediately suspicious of Dawnstar. I was like, I don't like her. She's too needy. Why does she want to be friends so quickly? How many friends does she already have? Why does she need so many friends? And I feel like I should apologize to Dawnstar.
A little judgy.
She was just being friendly, it turns out. And then once I was like, oh, I don't think it's Dawnstar. Then I was like, uh-oh, it's the man, the myth. Mon-El. So yeah, I mean, Mon-El turns out to be evil in this, like just full scale evil. I thought that there was going to be some backstory about why he was evil, and he was just like, nah, I'm just vibing with what they've got going on over there. I'm just like loving the authority and like the the vibes here. I was like, really, that's it? That's why you went full evil, is because like you just like what they're saying? Yeah. It just seemed very I don't know, it seemed very Like, they wanted to do the twist where someone in the Legion is evil, and that, I mean, it was fun. Like, it's always fun to have, like, oh my god, someone, it's one of us, right? Would it have been more dramatic if it was like Bouncing Boy? Yeah. I truly would have never seen that coming. Could you imagine suddenly it bounces in? He's like, time's up, suckers. But, we can't always get what we want. That's fine.
That actually would have been really fun, because what if like Supergirl was hovering in the air, Bouncing Boy like bounced up and used the Kryptonian knife to stab her in like midair? That would have been really crazy,
right? Or like arms fall off, boy.
Oh,
it would have been really funny if
this
like
is his like villain turn, like his villain origin story.
She's talking to somebody else, and all of a sudden one of the arms stabs her.
Oh no!
I truly did not see that coming.
That actually would have been awesome.
But like, once you kind of figure out it's Mon-El, you're like, oh yeah, of course it's Mon-El. Like, when she introduces herself to him, she's like, oh, I didn't realize you were Kryptonian. He was like, no, I just really love like the authoritarianism of the Kryptonian society.
The order that they like.
The order and the conformity. So weird. That's a weird thing to like about a society, sir. She's like, yeah, I mean, I was in that, but that's not what I liked best about it. It's weird that that's what you liked best. Like, she's like skims over that so quickly, and I was like, maybe we should rewind on what he liked about your society. Remember your society that blew up because of a lot of those things?
Yeah. And he sort of like breezes by why he names himself Mon-El.
Yes, he does.
I don't know. I just always assumed the L part was the House of L, like Kara and Cal's family. So why would he have named himself after their like, I don't know. It was not explicitly explained very well, so I thought that was a little weird. But yeah, I think his villain turn was a surprise to me, and I was kind of still hoping before the movie ended that maybe he was just brainwashed, or the big bad Brainiac had taken over his brain, and maybe when Brainiac was defeated, Mon-El would like come to his senses and regain like who he originally was as a hero. Like, I thought he was gonna like be bad and then turn back good at the end, but he does not.
He does not. He is just a villain through and through. So I had to, I mean, on the sliding scale, I had to be Mon negative on this one. I was like, Mon-El, you're kind of a jerk. You don't even have your beard. That's like your one redeeming quality. not played by Chris Wood, so we got at least that. Like, I don't know, man. He's not helping yourself out, Mon-El. You really aren't. I did laugh though when the villain was Mon-El. It was like, just like in Supergirl, the TV show. It's the same. But yeah, I did feel bad for Mon-El. I was like, could justice for this poor character who always gets such bad representations and stuff. It's like, poor Mon-El. He just really wanted to be like Superman, and Superman named him after what, like Monday or something weird.
Yeah, there's a whole if you've never listened to our character spotlight on Mon-El, we have a really good episode there with Corey talking about Mon-El's origins, so definitely check that out. A lot of people in the chat are Mon negative. Rachel Mon negative, Daryl Mon negative, Ollie definitely Mon negative in this movie, proves it. Elektra WWF Mon negative. Let's see. Brian though says, I think it was Mon positive when he married Melissa Benoist, for real. That's a good spin on that. I think that's a good take.
Good job, Chris Wood. Way to go. Mark Bickford says, yeah, the Mon came because he was found on a Monday. So I thought that's what I remembered. It would have been funny if, like, when Superman drops Kara off, and Mon-El's like, hi, my name's Mon-El. And she's like, oh, you Kryptonian? He's like, no, your cousin just named me that. He said, I found you on a Monday and I can't be bothered to remember your name. So he just, and also, honestly, I'm from like decades ago. He just dropped me off here when I said I was when I told him I was a little sad one day. Can I go home? Superman slowly backs up. Well, it seems like you guys are vibing.
Superman's the opposite of Batman. Batman's like, oh, are you a poor orphan child? I will take you into my home. And Superman's like, nope. They gotta go somewhere else.
Like, oh, you're having so many feelings at me. I gotta go.
That actually would have been good now that I think about it. If they had brought in the Monday, I was trying to think of the Solomon Grundy thing, the Grundy Monday thing, because they mentioned that several times in this movie. But they could have connected to the Monday with the Solomon Grundy stuff, but they didn't go that route. But yeah, so Mon-El, does seem to not get great representation in some of these portrayals, which is unfortunate because I think Mon-El is actually, I think he's actually a really important Legionnaire. So I was kind of surprised they stuck it out with the villain turn and didn't bring him back to the side of good. Although I will say the best part about Mon-El being a villain was Triplicate Girl's revenge. Who Triplicate Girl goes out, Mon-El kills her, one of them. She becomes originally Duplicate Girl, but of course she'll adopt Duo Damsel as her actual name. But she was so mad at Mon-El. She wanted that revenge. She basically, like, in one scene was like, I'm going to kill him. I really loved the revenge of Duo Damsel. That was probably my favorite part of that villain turn for him.
How dare he kill one of her doubles? That's so messed up.
It really is. And she was not having it.
I like when it seemed like she was dead entirely, and then she pops back up later and she was like, he killed my third double. She's so mad. I thought she was really fun in this movie overall. Like, I was like, oh, I want more of her because she's amazing. Like, that's who Kara should have bonded with. I don't know. Dawnstar came on a little heavy for me.
It just cracked me up because a lot of times in these DC comic stuff, the heroes are like, no, we shouldn't kill. That's not right. It's not part of our code. And or I guess Duo Damsel at that point is like, no, he killed one of my girls. I'm going to murder him. I'm going to straight up murder him.
She's like, revenge for me.
For me and me.
For me and me.
Yeah, so they did not care one bit about murdering Mon-El. So I really enjoyed that. Okay, so let's talk about Brainiac. Because there's another big reveal in this movie. So the first big reveal is Mon-El is a villain. He's just a straight up villain for the Dark Circle. For some reason that was hard for me to say. But then the next big reveal that was like tremendous, I think, really, was that Brainiac was the big bad in the head of the Dark Circle. Morgan, your thoughts?
Twist. I don't know if we've talked about the dirt. Oh my God, it's me too. The dark
circle is hard to say.
The dark circle. I don't know if we've talked about this before, if this has showed up in anything that we've read or watched, but I was not expecting Brainiac to be the head of it or the villain. When they were like, okay, here comes the head of it, I was like, will it be Pencil Skirt? What if Pencil Skirt was the head of the Dark Circle as well?
What if they mentioned the head of the Dark Circle and then never revealed him by the end of the movie?
That would have been amazing if the shadow comes out and you're ready for it to reveal something, and then the shadow backs up and it's like no, and just goes out of frame, and they're like, what? That seems really anticlimactic.
Why did you even mention it at all?
Why would you even mention it? They're screaming. No, I thought that it was crazy. Like that one I didn't see coming. And then I see in your bottom what's it called? Like subhead for your title. The Brainiac is gross, but yeah, that was like it was a pretty normal movie, and then suddenly it goes into like straight up body horror. I wasn't expecting. Like, Brainiac comes out and there's like the faces of the other Brainiacs on his like arms and on his back and on his stomach, and I was like, I don't like this. This is
It
creepy.
was
It went
messed
really
up.
like horror movie creepy, like all of the sudden. I thought that was like very scary. I was surprised that that's like the direction they went in. And then I was also like, this is creepy. I like this. This is really cool. But it was
You
like
do like a
very,
horror movie.
very disturbing. Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, somebody's been like out there being wild, like thinking up these ideas. What if he had a face on his shoulder and they all disagreed with each other? It got real weird at the end.
Yeah, it just was funny because if you go back and look at that Brainiac, he does have six-pack abs, and I thought, he reconfigured his body, and he decided he was going to give himself, good abdominal muscle.
He's like, I'm a new Brainiac now, a swoller Brainiac.
He had all these messed up features all over his the top portion of his body and his shoulders and everything, but his abs, he was really getting his fitness on.
You don't understand. I've been up in the gym every day. Yeah, sure, my faces complain about it, but rise and grind, baby. Could you imagine being just stuck on this is like my worst nightmare would be like stuck on a gym person, like a person who loves to go to the gym for like hours at a time and be like, I just want to go home. I'm so bored. He's like, just another set, man. I'm gonna lose my gains.
Yeah, so he definitely tried to make part of his body look good, even though the rest of it was hideous. But I thought it was appropriate that his downfall was really the fact that the other Brainiacs sort of I guess there was a mutiny of sorts with with all the other Brainiacs, and they just kind of did him in. So I thought that was a cool way to take him out, was because I think he mentions the hubris at some point in the movie, and I guess that's sort of the hubris taking over. So I thought if you're going to take down Brainiac, it should be his ego taking himself down.
Yeah, I thought that was so clever that Brainiac 5, our boy Brainy, realizes, like, by watching what's happening, like, oh, there's quite a bit of like confrontation between all of these Brainiac faces. And like, what if I just played into that? Like, he basically kind of just goads them into it. Like, oh, you're really going to let him take the wheel? Like, he doesn't have to do much to convince these Brainiacs to just like totally implode themselves. I thought that was a great way of getting rid of that villain. I thought it was so clever, and it used Brainiac's like his brain powers, his 12th level intellect, and more than just for Tetris, apparently.
Yeah.
He outsmarts the villain using just his mind powers, which I thought was pretty cool, because sometimes we'll see a brainy and he'll be like, I'm really smart, and then he does something really dumb and you're like, how smart are you exactly? But in this case, he was really smart. He basically manipulated them into doing that. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, they Brainy and Supergirl figured out some things to save reality from breaking. Brainiac was going to break reality and start it anew, and they saved that from happening. So all was done well thanks to Brainy's smarts and Supergirl's ability to get things done physically. So I think that was a good partnership and a team up that they had, and all the Legionnaires kind of came through and worked together at the end, I thought. So it was good to see that they were able to play a part in it. I really liked, I know we laugh about Arm Fall Off Boy, and we should, but there was one shot in there where like his arm gets detached from his body and it like punches somebody. Like he sort of like launches his arm and knocks somebody out using. I was like, oh, that's how he would like help save the day. Like, his power seems useless, but it actually did. He sort of catapulted his arm to punch somebody, and I was like, okay, all right, I can see how this could maybe be functional. So the Legionnaires do help save the day, and I was glad to see that they all got to play a little bit of a part in that. So I guess, Morgan, do you have any thought? I guess, do you have any favorite shots, scenes in the movie?
Oh, that's a good question. There were a lot of, I think, good scenes in the movie. I thought they did like a really nice job of like having character stuff and action scenes. I did like the scene where Brainy helps Kara with the kryptonite dagger. I thought that was really good. I like the scene where they are fighting the robot that they created that had decided to kill. But they basically created their own little Hope robot. I liked that scene. And I love the scene at the end when all the little reject legionnaires band together, and it turns out that their powers are pretty useful. It turns out that being able to throw your arms all about is not a bad skill to have. I thought all of those scenes were really, really fun. And I really liked the way that all the characters like worked together at the end to like solve the problem. And obviously also because I do like horror, and this was not gory in the way that scares me, the ultimate downfall of Brainiac I thought was very disturbing and creepy and cool. So I was oh,
more blood than I expected.
yeah, right? He ripped himself in half.
Gross, gross.
It's brutal. Well played, movie. I was not expecting some body horror at the end of it. Nothing that leading up to it had led me to suspect that at all.
It was really pretty gross. This is the first time in a long time I've watched one of these movies, and I was like, I really thought that was artistically really well done. There's an opening sequence when Kara gets shoved into the pod by her mother to save her life, and she goes away, and so then like the opening titles start, and you get to follow the viewer gets to follow Kara in her pod as she makes her way to Earth. And I really thought that sequence was really actually beautifully done. The pod goes around this sort of like fiery sort of planet, asteroid belt kind of looking thing, and there's a shot where the pod kind of goes across the screen in this like black sky, and all you see is like a blue light that's trailing it. And there's even a shot where the pod comes up to planet Earth, and there's a focus on North America, so you can see where she's going to go land in the Midwest in Kansas. And I thought that was a really cool way to depict her landing where she does, because even the planet Earth has the sun behind it, and the sun sort of fades away as she lands. And I thought, well, look, maybe I was reading into it, but I was like, oh, visually that sort of to me signals that she's going to, when she lands, develop powers by the yellow sun of planet Earth. And so I liked the connection of the sun as she goes to land in I assumed Kansas. So I really enjoyed that. I thought that was a really clever way to depict that. So the art in this, the animation, I thought was better than a lot of some of these movies that I've seen in the DC animated movie universe. Because sometimes I don't like them. Sometimes I don't like the way they portray, physically people. Like sometimes they're too tall and skinny. It's kind of weird sometimes how they draw them. But I thought this one was actually really pretty good in terms of the visuals. And there were a lot of good Easter eggs and sort of nods to Supergirl, like the seatbelt in Kara's escape pod. Looks like an S shield on her chest as it goes over her as it belts her in. There's even the military guild medal that she gets sort of looks like her S shield, which is interesting because Supergirl is usually associated with the science guild. So that was a different take that she was in the military guild here in this movie. But I think it was because of her joining the Legion, and they mentioned the academy. And so I think that there's a connection to the military guild through that. Allura mentions the academy and being a cadet. So that would fit into the Legion Academy aspect of the story. But I liked a lot of those nods to Supergirl as a hero and the S shield for her. I even thought it was a nice touch that Kara's human disguise at the mall, she was wearing a Flash t-shirt. So I thought that was a nice little Easter egg. So a lot of cool little nods that they give to Kara, especially, I think, in this one. And I think they took great strides in depicting Krypton, which I thought was really nice. They before the destruction happens, everything is, very beautiful. They're running in this pretty park. And then, of course, when things happen to the planet, everything goes into chaos and the colors change. And everything sort of speeds up and they actually have to run to save their lives, not just run to, have a little competition between mother and daughter. And I thought the pacing of that was really cool. And that sequence starts coming down from the clouds. And then at the end of the movie, it sort of goes back into the clouds. So I thought that was a nice little symmetry visually. So I thought the artistry in terms of the direction and the animation was a lot better, in my opinion, in this movie than some of the other DC animated stuff that I've seen. So kudos to the people involved in the visuals of this. I thought they did a really good job. Okay, well, I guess those are our overall thoughts about this movie. And so thank you, Morgan, for sharing your thoughts about the Legion of Superheroes. I guess we could just briefly mention, we didn't even talk about the voice of Supergirl.
No, we didn't.
I briefly want to talk about her. She was voiced by actress Meg Donnelly, and I thought she did a fantastic job, actually. I didn't know what to expect, but I thought she did a really good job portraying different sides of Kara and really dealing with a lot of those emotions. So I would watch another animated thing with her Kara. I thought she did a really good job. I was surprised.
Yeah, I thought she did a really good job as well. I thought that she had like a lot of emotion in her voice, and the voice acting was really well done. In fact, I thought everybody honestly did a really good job in the voice acting cast in this movie. I didn't have any complaints about anybody. I thought they all did a really, really nice job.
Yeah, even Jensen Ackles as Batman.
Jensen Ackles killed it as Batman.
He actually does a good job as Batman. I will say that.
He did. I saw the cast list and I did laugh at some of the casting. I was like, really? This person was I was also surprised, like the Flash is Matt Bomer.
Yeah, he's done a lot of.
Has he done a lot of them? I do love Matt Bomer.
He is oh gosh, what is the character? Negative Man? Is that the character on Doom Patrol? Am I getting that character right? I haven't watched Doom Patrol in a while, so I cannot remember.
I don't know. I don't think I've
the
really
chat
watched
needs
it.
to remind me who Matt Bomer plays in the live action Doom Patrol, but he's been in several DC things. So so somebody remind me, because my mind is blanking on his character. So Matt Bomer and Doom Patrol. Somebody, yes, okay. Mark says Negative Man. Yes, okay. I want to make sure I got that right. My memory is fading quickly. So yeah, he's been in a lot of DC stuff, Matt Bomer. I want to say Matt Bomer also played Superman in some other stuff. So he's been around the DC world. Superman in this one is voiced by Darren Criss, who's also played Superman in several things. Superman Man of Tomorrow, Superman in Justice Society World War II, of course, in our realm of the Arrowverse that we've talked quite a bit about. He played the Music Meister in the Flash musical crossover with Supergirl called Duet. So he's been around doing a lot of DC stuff as well. And of course, Mon-El was voiced by Yuri Lowenthal, who also was the voice of Superman on the Legion of Superheroes animated TV series. So lots of good connections and actors in this film. So I think I would watch more from these voice actors. I thought they all did a really good job. Even I think Harry Shum Jr., I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. He was the voice of Brainiac 5. I didn't know him from much of anything else, but I thought he did a really good job of playing Brainiac 5. So voice cast was awesome, and I think the animation was pretty good. So overall, I enjoyed this one. Morgan, would you recommend this one to somebody?
I would. I think it's a fun one. I thought the story was good and the cast was good, and I agree with you. I like the art a lot. Some of the art in some of these can be like, a little bit strange in the character design, but I thought the character design in this was really nice. And the art looked really, really good as well. So yeah, I think this was just a really well done movie that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I think the combination of the animation, the voice acting, and the story, I think we're all pretty on point. So I would recommend it as well. Well, I guess before we wrap up our thoughts on this one, maybe we should make some snap judgments. In the game of snap judgments, each person is presented with 2 options, but must only choose one. First instincts are recommended and explanations are unnecessary.
Okay, so our first snap judgment is a good one. Who would you rather have as a roommate, Dawnstar or Triplicate Girl?
I had to think about this one. I think I'm gonna say Dawnstar, because Dawnstar seemed like she wanted to hang out with Supergirl. Maybe she would really want to like hang out and do stuff. She'd be like a fun person to hang out with, and maybe she also wouldn't try to murder me like if I crossed her. Because I think Triplicate Girl, the downside for her to be there's a couple of downsides in my opinion for being roommates with Triplicate Girl. One, Triplicate Girl is going to take up a lot of room. Like if you're in a dorm room situation, she's going to take up most of the room because there's 3 of her. Does she get more closet space? Or maybe she's just mostly one person and then she becomes 3 at various points. But
that's a good point.
But is she taking up a lot of space in the house or the apartment or the dorm room that you're in? And also, like if you made her mad, would she try to kill you? So I think that's also a downside. So I'm gonna go Dawnstar on this one because I think she seems like a really fun character who would just want to be your friend. So I'm gonna go with that one.
I think we know where I'm going with this one. I thought Dawnstar was like a little too needy, like a little too much. Like, why do you want to be my friend so badly right away? I barely talk to you, lady. Whereas I like the cool like standoffishness of Triplicate Girl.
Oh, interesting.
Also, you've got 3 of her, so you're never, you're like, oh, I wish I was with a group of my friends. You always are. You always are. And it's going to make you feel more popular. Do you have one friend or do you have 3? Think about it. I mean, now you only have 2 friends, RIP other girl. But I think, and you can get into all kinds of shenanigans. There's 2 of her. But again, Dawnstar was like a little bit too much for me. I get suspicious when somebody wants to be my friend that badly so quickly. I'm like, why? What do you want from me? What? Dawnstar is going to try to find your social security number and like take your identity. Supergirl's going to wake up and Dawnstar is going to be like sitting there in the bed next to her, blonde with like the L crest on. She's just gonna like totally single white female her, I think. So I'm going with Triplicate Girl. Is she always gonna be nice to me? No. But that seems normal.
We don't really have to explain ourselves in snap judgments, but I thought you did a good job doing it.
Thank you. Okay. Who has more potential? Invisible Kid or Arm Fall Off Boy?
I love Arm Fall Off Boy, but probably Invisible Kid. I think he has multiple uses, and he seemed to finally get his groove on the invisibility. So I guess I would go Invisible Kid on this one.
I'm obsessed with Arms Fall Off Boy. I think I've made that very clear. Also, he kind of sounds like he could be an indie band just by himself. Like, oh my God, you guys, did you see the newest set from Arms Fall Off Boy? It was really good, but like not too good. You know what I mean? So I love him. I love his gumption. Sure, at the beginning, only one of his arms fell off, not the other one, but he learned how to make them both fall off. And like, imagine just following him around on his various adventures, because his power, even at the end, is like only somewhat useful. So I think he would be a fun character to have like a spin-off on. Like, what's he up to next?
Yeah, well, and I would be curious if Arm Fall Off Boy, does it just stop with the arms? Could his legs fall off?
Oh my God.
Would that be his potential, that he would expand into different limbs that he could utilize? Maybe it's not just, but I mean, I guess that's in his name. So if his name is Arm Fall Off Boy, like, I mean, are you relegated?
It's got to be mostly the arms, right?
that's his brand. That's who he is.
It's not like Body Falls Apart Boy.
Yeah, so I guess maybe there is some potential for Arm Fall Off Boy. Maybe he hasn't really discovered his full capacity yet. So I like that thought. All right, well, unless you have any other snap judgments, I think we're gonna get out of here. No judgments on your snap judgments. All right, and I think it's time for some Supergirl Radio and some DC TV plugs. If you would like to contact Supergirl Radio, you can post a comment on our website at supergirlradio.com. You can email us at supergirlradio@gmail.com. If you'd like to leave us a voicemail, you can call us at 678-718-7252. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram, all at Supergirl Radio. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, Podchaser, and Spotify, where we also have a Spotify playlist that includes music featured on and inspired by the CW's Supergirl TV series. We are listed on DC's fan page, which you can find at dccomics.com/DC-fans. If you like what we do, we encourage you to give us a rating and write us a review on Apple Podcasts. If you enjoy our Supergirl Radio live streams, make sure to subscribe to the DC TV Podcast YouTube channel and hit that notification bell to get notified when we go live and wired. DC TV Podcast also has a TeePublic store, so if you're in need of new DC TV related t-shirts, tank tops, sweatshirts, onesies, mugs, notebooks, pillows, or stickers, go to supergirlradio.com and click on the TeePublic store link at the top of the page.
Hello, and thank you for calling the DC TV Podcast hotline. Please listen carefully as some of our menu options have changed. Supergirl Radio? Press 1. The Flash Podcast? Press 2. Legends of Tomorrow Podcast? Press 3. The Lithuanian Room? Press 4. DC on HBO Max Podcast? Press 5. Stargirl Podcast? Press 6. Superman and Lois Radio? Press 7. Green Lantern Podcast? Press 8. The Sandman Podcast? Press 9. Justice League Dark Podcast? Press 10. DC After Dark? Press 11. For all other inquiries, please stay on the line and the next available agent will be with you shortly.
And since we talked about the Legion of Superheroes this week, we have some Legionnaire and Brainiac designs in the DC TV Podcast TeePublic store we'd like to suggest.
Yeah, so if you want a Legionnaire, if you want to represent and induct yourself into the Academy at the Legion of Superheroes headquarters, you can get a mug or a t-shirt or a hoodie or even a mask or a notebook or a sticker if you want to represent yourself as a Legionnaire if you would like to do so. Also, I think the Brainiac design in the DC TV TeePublic store is adorable. And if you want to check that out, he's cute with his little purple suit on with his little purple boots. I enjoy it. So if you want to sport a more appealing, visually looking Brainiac, this would be the one to check out, because the one in the Legion of Superheroes movie, I don't think I would put him on a t-shirt. I don't think I would wear... I don't think I would even drink coffee from a mug with that guy on it. No. He was pretty hideous looking. But the one in the DC TV Podcast TeePublic store, he's cute. And
that guy's cute.
Yeah, he's much more visually interesting and adorable. So I would recommend that design if you are into a Brainiac. Also, we would like to thank our Legion of super sponsors for supporting the Supergirl Radio Patreon. These people are Michael, Anne Marie, Yvonne, Quinn, Nicola, Abby, Miriam, Nicole, Brian, Ethan, Danny, Tara, and Majuba. And if you would like to become a Legion of a super sponsor, you can visit the Supergirl Radio Patreon at patreon.com/Supergirl Radio. And Morgan, would you like to go through a little bit of our new levels that we have?
I sure would. And speaking of the Supergirl Radio Patreon, we've recently changed our monthly Patreon levels in the hopes they will provide a little bit more bang for your buck. So they are categorized by things you might be interested in. So if you just want your name read on the podcast and listed on our website, there's a level for you. But if you'd like access to DC-related quarterly film reviews and now monthly pilot pods. I don't know why I said that so creepily. There's a level for you. If you're interested in hearing about, say, the lab cats or our vacations or what cult documentary we just watched, because believe me, we will have just watched a cult documentary. Boy, do we have a level for you. And if you're more interested in learning how to become a podcaster, what kind of equipment we use and stuff like that, we have a level where we show you how to do it. And as always, you can be a boardroom boss for Supergirl Radio to get all of that, plus getting to vote on what episodes or series of episodes we'll do next, including helping us decide which holiday movie we review. So if you were like, I wish that we hadn't watched Buttons, like sometimes I wish, you can save us next holiday season by voting a different movie.
Yeah. So we are letting boardroom bosses help us make those difficult decisions.
We're taking it out of our own hands.
And if you are a Patreon supporter, you would have gotten access to a video of Morgan and I, Morgan and me, I think grammatically correctly, that would be correct there. But we did a video of brainstorming how we decided on restructuring these levels. And at the end of that, we pitched a dystopian future for Buttons. I don't know, Morgan, I don't know if you remember that, but we did a really good pitch for how to take Buttons into a dystopian future.
That's right. It's like Mad Max Buttons Road.
So if you're a Patreon supporter, you can get access to that pitch. So if you want to do that, please go to what is the website? Patreon.com/Supergirl Radio. So hopefully these will be a little more restructured so that if you have a specific interest in regards to Supergirl Radio, hopefully that will help you narrow down things in the way that you can support us. So thank you to everybody who does support the Supergirl Radio Patreon. We appreciate it. Okay, well, if you want to check me out and follow me in other places, you can find me on Instagram at The Derby Kid. I also have a YouTube channel that you can find at youtube.com/duckmilkprod, where I live stream on most Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern. I haven't been as consistent as I would like to be, but usually Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, where I read through Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice reviews written by the top critics of Rotten Tomatoes. I'm nearing the end, but it has been a good journey for me. And the live chats have been actually very insightful. Even if you don't like Batman v Superman, come for the people in the live chat. They share some great thoughts about art criticism and film. And it's been teaching me a lot. And we've been having some really good and inspirational conversations over there. So if you are interested in that, please join me Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern for my readings with Rebecca is what I call them. You can check that out at youtube.com/duckmilkprod. I should also say, and I forgot to make an overlay for this, but I'll just talk about it briefly. I'm going to be in Atlanta, Georgia this weekend for Atlanta Comic Con. I've learned several years ago that you can work the system at Atlanta Comic Con. If you submit to do a panel there, you can get into the convention for free. So I usually try to coordinate a panel there. So Saturday, which is February 25th, I believe, at 3:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m., you can find me doing a panel on Zack Snyder's Man of Steel. It's the 10th. It'll be the 10th anniversary of Man of Steel this summer, which is depressing considering Flash movie. The 10th anniversary, hey, maybe we're going to destroy your movie. So I'm going to be talking about the 10 years after Man of Steel has come out, what is the legacy of that movie, and does it stand up today? So that's going to be what we're talking about. So if you're going to be in the Atlanta area and you want to go to a convention where Johnny Lawrence is going to be, that's kind of the main reason I'm going to be there to see Karate Kid.
Hi, baby.
Johnny Lawrence. But I'll be talking about Man of Steel. So if you want to drop by, it's at 3:30 p.m. on Saturday, February 25th. And if it all goes well to plan, I will hopefully release it as a Supergirl Radio episode. So if I do video, I'll try to drop it on the YouTube channel here at youtube.com/DCTV podcast and drop it as an audio podcast episode into the Supergirl Radio feed. So hopefully it all goes well, and I'll be able to turn that into an episode.
That's cool. Well,
I think so.
It'll be like we're there.
Yeah, I'll try. Maybe I'll do a little Patreon extra thing, a little bonus thing.
Yeah, a little bonus for the supporters. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Mojotastic. And you can also find me as a co-host on the Legends of Tomorrow podcast. We actually just had an episode drop today. It's about Megan, spelled with the 3.
Yeah, because that's how you spell that.
Of course, it's how you spell it. About and Gen Z horror and kind of horror in general. And that should be really fun. And I know we're recording a new episode soon. It's going to be on something, but I'm blanking on what that is. So we have some fun Patreon stuff going on over at the Legends of Tomorrow podcast Patreon, and we have some fun episodes that we're dropping. So come join us. We're kind of talking about everything now because they canceled our show. So stay tuned for what the Legends of Tomorrow podcast version 2.0. But until then, just come say hello.
Well, that sounds exciting. I enjoy the mini takes of the Legendary Ladies. So whatever you talk about, I will be there. Even if I haven't watched it, I still plan on listening to the podcast.
For Rebecca, it's not a dramatically different experience listening to the podcast after the show has ended as when the show was on.
I've never seen anything that y'all talk about. But I just listened to the podcast. Have I seen Megan? No, and I probably don't plan on watching it. But I'll listen to the podcast.
You might like Megan because it's a scary movie. It's like a horror movie, but it's not really scary, and it's not really gory, and it is pretty funny actually. There's a part in the movie. I'm gonna give this away a little bit, where the doll just starts randomly singing Titanium, like the song. And when I saw it in theaters, the whole theater exploded in laughter. Like nobody was expecting it. It is a perfect film.
Well, now I'm kind of curious about that. So maybe I'll try to get my courage up to watch it, but we'll see. But even if I don't, I'll still enjoy listening to the Legendary Ladies talk about it. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Supergirl Radio. But until next time, I'm still Rebecca Johnson.
And I'm still Morgan Glennon. And we enjoyed talking about this movie featuring Kara Zor-El, beloved daughter and crowd favorite.
McGurk! I love typing.
Not mess with my Google Docs, Meeksy.
Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Kira. I love that.
So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor, Boardroom or Ballroom. Because
she looks like a boss in this coat.
Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
No.
Helen Slater here. So fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.
Yeah!